he came as the higher authority, of course, God, and Abraham was the lesser, but it was the lesser vassal who was to walk through the blood. But that's not who walks through the blood. So God did his own little tweak on it and said, because when the lesser or the vassal walks through the blood, he's saying, if I break this covenant with you, then I will be like these animals. I will be cut to pieces. This will be my blood that's on my robe. But it wasn't that way at all. As we know, it was God who walked through the blood. And he said, when you break this covenant, I will shed my blood. And that's exactly what we saw Jesus do. So we have a new versus renewed covenant in this language, and we have the Suzerain-Vassal covenant, but we also have a Royal Grant covenant. And the Royal Grant covenant is an unconditional promise one person makes to another person who is doing nothing in return. Okay, so in the Suzerain-Vassal, each had to keep their side of the promises. And it's very interesting because we always talk about the languages of the Bible, the language of the covenant language. So we're not talking about Hebrew, we're not talking about Aramaic, we're not talking about Greek. We're talking about the language, covenant language, or the garden language, or even there's all sorts like marriage language or betrothal language, but the covenant language is always, if you love me, you keep my commandments. And even when the Lord said, Esau I hated, but Jacob I loved, that's covenantal language. It's because Esau broke covenant and Jacob did not. So that's covenantal language. And that's one of the things we, as readers of the Bible, have to understand, to really understand what's being said. Even when God announces, this is my son, with whom I'm well pleased. That's like a type of language that's saying, it doesn't matter whether this son in like human terms was the next born or the firstborn. It was the one he loved would become king after him. And so that's covenantal language and kingship language. So anyway, when we have a royal grant covenant, this is also the kind of covenant that God made with Abraham. It was unconditional. It wasn't based on anything that Abraham did. It was purely because he loved him and Abraham had faith in him, and Abraham chose to do what God told him to do instead of doing what he wanted to do. And because he did this, and not because, but because God loved him and he gave him this covenant of promises, he promised him this land that he would inherit, this land that would be his offspring's inheritance. And so it was a promise made with somebody who didn't deserve it and did nothing for it.